Okay, so we'll make a start. We'll get going with today's session. So this is the content for today's session. We're going to be looking at developing communities of practice. And for those of you that were able to join the Twitter session last week in induction, some of this we've actually already covered. So it will be a slightly shorter session today based on the timetable, because we felt that it might be nice to start with the Twitter thing during induction. As opposed to doing it historically. I do it in individual sessions like this with you guys, but we thought, just to save everybody time rather than me repeat a session 5 times, we would do the Twitter session for all students on an education course. So that's kind of impacted slightly on this. Just to introduce myself again, just so people know who I am. My name's Matt Pullen. I do have an actual face, but I tend to use my Memoji to hide behind things a lot. And again, apologies, my camera isn't working today, but I will get that fixed for next week, so I can at least say hi to everyone and you know who it is who's on the other end of this call with you. Just a bit of a background: senior lecturer, obviously with you guys. I was a PE teacher in secondary school for 12 years before leaving to work with primary school teachers to support them. Although PE is my background in education, technology is the thing that I actually I suppose I'm an expert in. I hate the term expert, but technology is the thing that I do a lot with students at university at the moment, and teachers, supporting them in understanding how technology can enhance learning. So the module, obviously, you're going to be with me looking at the role of technology, how it can support learning, teaching. The reason why we are utilising iPads, just in case it's come up in conversation amongst yourselves, is we really feel in university at the moment that technology is transforming how we can teach in the classroom, and we're going to look at that a lot next week. And we really wanted to give you guys the opportunity to develop your skills in a piece of technology that might be fairly new to people. I mean, the technology itself is only about 10 years old, but looking at how it works in the classroom is very much a new move. Technology's been around for a while, use of laptops, etc., but we want to look specifically at how mobile technology, the use of video cameras, writing on screens, etc., can support. So that's why we've kind of mentioned the iPad thing. On another note, the iPad support package that we put in place, where if you didn't want to buy one outright, wanted to pay monthly for it, that is coming soon. It's just Apple decided to release an iPad 2 weeks ago, so it just delayed some of the processes of being able to set that up. So if that's something you're interested in, I know some people have emailed me about it. I will keep you in the loop. Fingers crossed, I'll get a response today as to when it will go live, and then we'll be able to let you know about that. Okay, so outcomes of today's session. One, really an introduction to the module, introduction to me, which we've just done. Talking about the systems that we're going to use. So, those issues that some people have faced this morning, totally understandable. And like I said, we'll iron out those things today, so that in future it will be nice and straightforward. I want to talk you through how we're going to be using the Shobi package that I've noticed everyone's been able to get into, and why we're using that. And fundamentally, it is because we want to give you experience of how a platform works, so that you might want to use it yourself. Certainly in the world we're in at the moment, education is relying on different packages. And because Blackboard isn't something that we can use with schools, we wanted to show you something alternative to that you might want to use. And Shobi is only one of them. We will hopefully give you an insight into some of the others as well. And then we want to talk about this community thing. Now, ordinarily we would have done a whole session on Twitter, but we did that last week. So we're just going to look at and discuss why we can learn in communities, and really I would love to hear your insights into how communities can work in the current climate, because obviously the usual community you have are the people you're in face-to-face contact with a lot of the time. So we're going to have a look at how technology can support us with those communities. And then the final thing, which might be an absolute fear to most of you, is we are going to set up a blog, and a lot of the work you're going to do this year is going to be through a blog. But please don't worry, this is not about sending it to the world at this point. It's the opportunity that you could send it to the world, but also a place for you to just reflect on things that you're doing, not only in the sessions with me, but also the sessions with all of the other lecturers in the other modules you're doing, to just have a place to really think about the things you're doing, and provide an audience for it, so that we can look at it, so that the rest of the people on the course can look at it as well. but we'll come on to that a little bit later, and how you can play around with those things. The module itself, obviously, ordinarily this would be a face-to-face session. We would be, you know, Friday mornings 10 till 12 we would be in university, but under current situations, we weren't able to manage that, to have you all on campus for all modules at all times, so you can only be in for certain modules. We just found that digital probably is one that lends itself quite easily at the moment to be able to be done online. And secondly, I can't come onto campus for shielding reasons, because my wife has medical conditions that means that, you know, we just have to look after her. So that's the reason why I'm not there, as well as the other ones. This is how it's going to work then. We've got 4 synchronous sessions. So the next 4 weeks will be online, 10 till 12, and they will be live sessions. They won't necessarily always be 10 till 12. Sometimes there are activities I'm going to ask you to go away and do in your own time. But 10 till 12 is our time slot for doing them. And then we've got the rest of the sessions are asynchronous, because we needed to free up some time for you to be able to do other sessions, and maybe access the learning in different ways. So the synchronous sessions we've tried to do are ones that are a little bit more discussion based, where I really think your input, your sharing is going to be really useful. The other ones are very much where I can show you opportunities and discuss things. There are some issues with some of them, like the using Lego to develop creativity, but I'm just going to post you to things which will hopefully give you ideas and give you support, as well as some activities that you can do if you do have access to any Lego in your house, which I know not everyone will, but hopefully you can at least consider how that can be used in the classroom environment. So hopefully that makes sense. As well as those asynchronous sessions, I am always available. So please do, if you've watched a video and you're not sure about something, we're going to use Shobi in order to make sure that communication is live all time, so you have the opportunity to discuss things, to ask questions, and all of that. So coming on to that, let's jump into Shobi. I'll model this for you now. I'll show you, where the content is, how to find some things, how you can contact me, how we can have class discussions, etc. Just so you know how this is all going to work. And as I'm building this, the asynchronous sessions are probably going to start to go on fairly soon. That's not to say you have to watch them all now. Please kind of think about it as a week-long activity, so you can watch it at any point during that week. I will just put them on there in advance so that you have access to them. But if there's like all of a sudden 6 sessions on there in the space of a couple of days because I've just recorded them in that time, I'm not asking you to watch them all in that time. Please do spread it out and think about it in terms of a weekly session building activity. So if I jump into Shobi now, just to clarify some things, and again, please use the chat window in Zoom to just ask any questions. If you're on an iPad, if you just tap on the screen, it will bring up the options. You'll see, I think it's either a participants, like some heads, and you can go to chat in there. Or if you're on a laptop or a PC or anything, you should be able to see across the top, there's an option for chat, either in more, or it just show up as chat. But please do, if you've got any questions, or just come off mute. I'm more than happy for you to just unmute yourself. Okay, so this is what Shobi looks like. Just down the left-hand side, I've categorized all the sessions. Like I said, session 1 to 4, I've put, they are the synchronous ones. So within here, so for example, in developing communities, and hopefully this is potentially where you found the link for today, I will identify where the joining link is, and then obviously you're going to be able to go in there and find the link to join the session. I've also added in today's presentation, so the deck that I'm using for this is in there if you need to use that for reference at any point. The other things that are in here, there are resources, and fundamentally within this, I've just added in some additional reading or videos that you might want to look at, which will support the activities that we're looking at today. So for instance, although we're not looking at social media today because we did that last week as part of the induction, there is some reading here that you might find useful around the benefits of social media in schools. And again, some more things here about reflective practice and why you might start a blog. And this is going to be the link to the blog. So when we come to create these a little bit later, that's how you're going to be able to find the link, or just type in that. And then finally, in most sessions, I will ask for a directed study activity, which is just something to do between sessions, just to keep you, focused on the things and reflect on the things we've done. And I'm not, the focus of this one is you are going to write a blog post over the next week, reflecting on some of the things that we've learned in the session today, but also, just your experiences in the first 2 weeks of learning in this kind of very unique way that you're having to engage with at the moment. And then also on Tuesday night, if you can engage in a Twitter chat of your choice. It doesn't have to be the Apple one, but it could be any other Twitter chats that we've highlighted to you that you could join in, and just kind of add that into your blog as well. I did notice some people from USW on the Twitter chat, but because I've told you all to use similar kind of usernames of just your name, USW, it's very hard to differentiate between first years, second years, and third years, and which course you might be on. So if you did join in last week, great. If you didn't, try and join in next week. And again, you don't have to share anything. Sometimes it's just useful to just see the conversations going on. So that's session one. The other sessions lead the same approach. So again, I've added in the link for next week's session. So at 10 o'clock, if you jump into Shobi and join the link there, everything should be set up. I'll add the presentation at the bottom, again, similar to what I have this week. And then again, directed study tasks are in there for you to follow, asking you what you're going to do. Next week, we're going to be looking at sketchnoting, so a very creative approach to doing things, which we'll start to talk about a little bit in today's session. But you'll be able to do that in your own time. And again, resources. So all of the sessions look the same. You should be able to find everything and hopefully navigate around all of these things. So again, just some reading, although I am a big fan of trying to point you towards videos rather than reading all the time, because sometimes a video can support your learning a little bit better than some reading does, which we'll talk about in next week's session. So I'll pause there for a second if anyone wants to come off of mute to share any thoughts, or if you want to just jump into the chat window and just share any of your thoughts on, accessing Shobi, if everyone's got that. I've noticed that all of your names are in the class, so therefore I know that you're all in it for the starters, so that's a great start. But yeah, if there's any issues or anything, please do give me a shout and say, I'm not able to access this, or where is this, or why are we using this, etc. In fact, what we're going to do, just to prove how it works, if you jump into Shobi now and go into the class discussion, just so that I know that everybody is in the right place, let's just have a little bit of discussion. Just introduce yourselves, and then we can at least see that it works. So if you just post something into the discussion section, so up on the top, class discussion, if you just post something in there very quickly, and we're just to make sure that everything works and you guys can all hear me okay, and you know where to find things. So there's always a slight sigh of relief when you start to see it actually works. So fab, thanks guys. What we'll use this for is when we certainly go to the asynchronous sessions, this will be a good place, because you might have questions that you want to ask throughout, but you might all be accessing the videos at very different times. So if you can go into this and leave any questions, thoughts, or anything, I can answer those questions, but then everybody will see the response to that. So for example, if Courtney asks me something because she's watched the video on the Monday, and then India, comes and watches the video maybe on the Thursday and has a similar question, if I've answered it on the Monday, India can just pick that up straight away based in this chat. So hopefully that's just going to help us just coordinate where everything is. And again, we want to demonstrate how students can use this in the classroom in schools in the same manner. How do we just make sure everyone still has that community of one place, one shared identity, even if we can't actually all be in the same building at the same time. So hopefully that's of use to you. So thanks guys for joining in, and good to see everybody saying hi and being friendly this morning. Awesome. Right, So that's Showbie. We'll develop our understanding of it as we go through. It is also where you're going to be uploading your assignment. So do you know what? I'll talk about the assignment. I wasn't going to talk about the assignment, but I will talk about the assignment at this point. Don't worry too much about it, but towards the bottom, you will be able to see your assessment, and this is not due for a while yet, so don't worry about it now. We will be building up these things, but what we're going to be doing is creating. You're going to create a resource in a style of your choice, so you can do absolutely anything. When it's ready to go, I will be asking you to submit your assignment through Showbie, and you just simply add a link to it here and tap post. I can then give you feedback on it. But again, don't worry too much about the assignment at this point. We'll talk about it a lot throughout the course to give you an idea of what it is you expect it to do. Okay, the second thing to highlight as well is I've created this learning journal for you. Now, again, I know some people haven't yet got their iPads, but when you do get your iPads, this is going to be a place that you can utilize in order to just keep track of the things you're doing within sessions. We're going to talk a lot about things like becoming an Apple teacher. We're going to share ideas of things that you could do in learning, but then I want you to have a space to be able to document those things. So it's really a digital storage space for lots of the work you do. We're utilizing this as part of your placement as well. So not this one as such, but you're using a similar model in order to support you going forward with digitizing some of the resources that you might need to look at. Again, in Showbie, this is shared with you. So if I jump into your module and jump into, I think it's in our resources here. This document here is for you to download. So if you tap on it, it will give you the option to view it. So it's going to open on my screen. This is the whole document here, just in view mode. So it's going to take you through all the different sections, etc., the things that you can do. For you to get it onto your iPad, and again, if you've got your iPads now, great, you can do this. If you haven't got your iPads yet, you can do this when you do have your iPads. If you tap on the plus icon at the top and go to make a copy, it will give you the option to copy that file. And that's going to give you your own version. If you want that on your device, if you go to Share Pages Doc, it will give you the option to open it here in Pages. So Share Pages Doc, Open Pages, and it will place this on your device for you. So this is what the document looks like. Here's all the pages down the side with all the information. If I go to edit, it allows me to be able to, write on the screen, etc. One of the things that we'll talk about in later sessions is this idea of using multiple tools, multiple access points for learners. So therefore, if you're not a keen writer, you could use the pencil to write in it. You could use your voice. You could record a video, etc., etc. So, again, we're using this to model what you could do in the classroom with your learners if technology was employed in a creative way. So you can go through the book, talk about the different things that you can do. The one today, obviously, is to think about your social media profile. So you can add in, your Memoji if you created your Memoji based on the activity I set last week. And there's just some challenges in here. Again, you don't have to do all these in 1 week. They're just little activities that you might want to do based on some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And then the whole book goes through this. So we'll go through some creativity ideas. So we're going to have a look at how photos can be used and all of the creative elements that you can do with that. And this is just a place for you to just jot down some ideas of, when I'm in my class, I could do this with some of the students, or the students might be able to do this. And again, one for video, one for music, and one for drawing as well. So the whole booklet is there for you to use. Please do use it. It's not an assessed piece. I might ask for you at different points to just upload it back to Showbie, just so that we can have a look at that process and share some really good ideas. When you upload it, it's only me that can see it, so you don't have to share this publicly with anyone else. But it'd just be nice to sort of see the things that you're thinking of in terms of the uses within your own practice going forward. So that's what we're thinking about doing with the book. So again, if there's any questions, please just drop them in the chat window and we can pick those things up. But it's fairly straightforward. And again, it's not an assessed piece of work by any stretch of the imagination, just an opportunity for you to play around with something. Okay, I've been talking for an awfully long time now. What I want you to do is I'm going to ask you to go to this Padlet wall. If you've never used Padlet before, it's fundamentally just post-it notes on a wall, but in a digital space. I will put the link to this Padlet in the chat window so that you can access that. And there's just a question on there to just ask about how you might consider communities working. So how do we, encourage people to share thoughts and ideas so that we can learn from them? Again, just jump in and use, just some time to think about what opportunities might exist. I'm going to bring the Padlet wall up. Find it on the screen. A second. Okay, not this one. And again, if you've got a mobile device, I'll just put the QR code up on the screen. You can scan this QR code and it will take you straight to that Padlet wall. I'm going to just mute myself just for 5 minutes or so, just so you can have some thought time, and then just add in some ideas like how have you learned from a community? I think I asked this during the social media session, or it might have been a blended learning session that we did. What have people learned over the last few months where you've learned from a community? It could be that you've gone online to learn how to draw, or you learn how to cook something, or you've just relied on people in a community. We're not talking about just teaching and learning here, but just support networks. How have you been supported through the fact that we've been quite isolated from individuals? Have you used things like Snapchat or whatever to communicate with friends? How have you overcome those things? So just no right answer or wrong answer, just share some thoughts. Jump into it either through the QR code or directly through the link that I've put in the chat window, and just share some of those ideas. You can keep them anonymous, by the way. You don't need to put your name on it. So we're going to take a look at how to set up your blog now. So we're going to use this process called Bulb App. So you can go ahead and type in bulbapp.com, and we're going to walk through the process of how to set it up and what you can do with it. Again, in case you don't want to necessarily share this publicly or not, but we're going to get you guys set up in the first instance. So we'll run through this as a demo, so hopefully you can get onto a web browser as well as listening to my voice. And we're going to type in bulbapp.com. And again, I'll stick this. It is in Shobi again, so you can find the link to that. But I will stick the link as well in the chat window, just to hopefully allow people to be able to get it easier. So I've just added that in, so if you need to just grab hold of that, and then I'll just walk through the process of creating an account, and then we'll look at the design elements and things that you can play around with. So first thing we're going to do is go to sign up for free. It's going to take you to a common sign up thing. I would suggest you sign up with your Microsoft account. That is your university account, by the way. So if you tap on that, it will take you to a simple sign in page, which will allow you to use your university account. Now I've already signed in, so it's showing me my university account details on here. For you, it's going to ask you to just add in your username and then obviously your password. Again, mine's going to go through a system, hopefully just allows me to do it. There we go, without you seeing my password. And then I'm just going to quickly log in. So again, I'll give you a little bit of time to just sign in using your university credentials. And then it's going to take you into your kind of setup page, which is going to look a little bit like this. So again, I'm just going to give you just a couple of minutes, and then in the chat window, if you could just highlight a yes that you've achieved that, I'll know to move on. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can use this to create your own kind of pages. Now, this top section here, this is your creativity, right? So obviously, it's going to have your name in it. You can edit this section here to say who you are. I would just keep it professional, like we talked about with the social media thing. You know, you are a first-year student at the University of South Wales studying education. It doesn't need to be much more than that. And again, you don't have to put anything in here. Obviously, your name, you can add in your picture. Again, I tend to use an emoji for this, just because I'm quite shy and don't want to have my photo on things. But an emoji kind of still allows you to see kind of what I look like. You can add in all sorts of images in here. I would say try and keep it personal. So if I go to something on my device, I've created emojis, so I can just find these on here. Here's one that I was playing around with yesterday, and you can just upload that as your image. Obviously, in this case, I'm not actually a chef, but it was a bit of fun to create it as an emoji on your device. And hopefully you checked out those videos to show how to do those things. And that's just going to load that in for you and place that in. So I'll just save that. So one thing is just creating your page. You can also add in a cover image, so something that's going to sit behind. And again, when you add these things in, yes, you can browse your device. You can also do a web search. So this is quite a bit of fun just to find something. And these are all, Unsplash is a great website, by the way, if you ever want to add pictures to something, because they're all royalty free. So Google, as a search engine for pictures, those pictures are not necessarily all free for you to use, and you can get into copyright issues. Unsplash are pictures which are usable. So you could search in here, and I might want to put in, I might search for blogging or something. It's going to find me some images that I can use. And again, you can be creative with this. Let's use this one of a computer. And again, it's just going to add that picture to your page. It just allows you to just get a bit creative. So again, I'll just adjust this to how I want it to look. There we go. I'll just save that. And that's just going to create your page for you. So this is just what you want your page to look like. So it's pretty simple, pretty quick and easy to get set up. You can edit that at any time. But that's your basic setup. So play around with that. The next thing is at the bottom here, you won't have anything. What these are collection tiles. And then within it, you can create the page, which would be your blog. So let's say I'm going to start here on create a collection. My collection title is going to be blog reflections for Digital Foundations, which is our module. And you might want to have one of these for each of the modules you're doing. There's no expectation on you to do it for anyone else. I will expect you to do it for my module because it's part of the module and part of the understanding. But you don't have to do it for other modules, but you might find this is a good way for you to learn. Add in obviously what you want it to be about if you want to add that in, and then tap create. And then this is a space where you can say whether this is visible to anyone. Now, saying it's public doesn't mean everybody will know where it is, because ultimately it's based on a URL. So someone would have to know exactly what your URL is in order to find it. So I would say make it public. You can make it private and then share it to me individually, but I would just make it public. Like I said, if you're only putting on there just brief reflections on what you're doing in the session, people wouldn't be able to find this on the internet anyway. Because they'd have to know the URL address. Once you've created that, you can then create a page within that. So let's imagine this is you've made a folder of some things that you want to write about, and then within that folder, you create a page. So again, you can add in a cover image, and then you can just put in, I just might put in session 1 thoughts, and then down here, you can just start typing away. Now, there's different things that you can add in. You could add in a video, you can add in images, you can add in a file. So if there's a piece of work that you've done that you want to add to this, you can. Audio or web links as well. So it might be that you've done some reading and you want to collate all of your thoughts together in this one place. And so you could just add in that URL. It's just going to add it to the page. Also, obviously, you can just type in your text onto the page. So session 1. A whole blog post, by the way. That might be the start of my my blog post. When I'm done, once I've added in a nice image in the background, etc., I can simply go to publish, I've already set it to be public, so that's going to be there. I can create, like I said, create that shared link if I want to, and you can just share that directly with me via Shobi. But if you just tap on publish, that's it. It's then live. And then if you tap on share and have this link here, share page, this is what I mean. If someone was to want to find this, although it is public on the web, they would have to know to type in all of this link to find it. So that's just not going to happen. So that's my page. I'm going to jump into Shobi just to show you what it looks like to share this. So if I come in here, I'll just put it into the session. I'm going to tap in here, and you're going to do the same thing, although you're going to put it in your, in fact, if I show you exactly where you need to put it. So in your directed study, if I go to shared items, it's just going to ask you to paste that link and then post that link. And at this point now, you would all be able to click on that and you can all go to my bulb reflection blog. So, like I said, all I want from you to do in this session now, and you've got an hour of your own time. Like I said, I will stay here if you have any questions, but feel free, you can log off and go and do this. By 12 o'clock, I want you to have just played around setting up your blog and then write a brief first blog entry, just so you can get into the practice of using the system. I will stay online, so if you have any issues, you can jump back in, you can ask any questions. If you don't want to do it via Zoom, you can just jump into Shobi and ask questions via the chat window. But just put together just that basic blog. Have a bit of fun doing some creation. If you want to add in different images in the background, have just think about how you might want your blog to look. And again, don't worry too much about this being shared with everybody. One thing I would identify to you is when you share stuff, I see the individual's piece of work here. So I'm assuming Keris has had a go at doing something already. Oh, it hasn't shown up, so it looks like you, oh, I see you've shared it in there. That's cool. When you do share your blog, it shows up as a link here. You guys can't see each other's. I can see your blog posts. Okay, so you're not sharing it with everyone at the moment, so don't worry about, if you're still a bit shy about sharing those things. I will see individual stuff. You won't see individual stuff. So with that, thank you for listening. It's been a slightly shorter session today because, like I said, we did the social media stuff last week, but I do want you to now use the time that we would have had together, and if we were face-to-face, we would be doing this live in the session, to create that first blog post and share some of those thoughts and reflections on community and how community can support, the sense of well-being, sense of learning, etc. going forward. So again, I will stay on the call. Please ask any questions if you need to. If not, I will see you all next week at 10 o'clock.